Okay, I believe my music and everything should be going out. Let me just start this. Okay, cool. And I don't know if the music's coming out at all, whatever. But anyway, uh, this is something that, I put off for a while, and I need to turn down music a little bit on my side because I'm shouting over it and I shouldn't have to. There we go. And let me just check my OBS levels. Yes, my voice is good. And the music is so loud, like quiet, can't be heard. Oh well. Um, I have noticed that my maybe I should buy a decent microphone. Anyway, what I'm going to be doing here is a part of the island's geometry that is based upon, or geometry landscape that is based on a place of real life. It's a Picnic Point. It exists here both on one of the islands at Casco Bay, and it exists here in Peace Island. And it is one of those places that, I've redesigned about a dozen different times. But really, I think that my main problem is object is that I really didn't ever commit myself to just doing it by hand. I always thought there were like shortcuts, but there are some places really that you're gonna have to be doing things by hand. So what I really need to do is somehow make this water less transparent so I know exactly where the water line is, but heck, I'm just gonna go for it. So this is going to be a place that's going to have a little bit more. Oh, my camera! My camera's off. Okay, good. That was sort of stupid, but hey, that's par for the course. And actually, I just realized I don't have a glass. I will be right back. Hello, one viewer. I will be right back. Sorry. Hey, girl. Hey, Olivia. Olivia. Olivia, or a cat. She's always bustling around. Hello to our one or two viewers. I don't know how many viewers we have, but yeah. What I'm going to be doing is there we go. Is number one. I'm going to be seeing where my project settings are because the quality should be set at low. I don't know why we're getting such like crappy setback. Oh, it is what it is. But what I also could do is also turn off all of these chunk outputs because we're only going to be bothering with this one part tonight. Hey, Olivia, I wish you'd come up there. She's so frightened of people. Um, well, she's her own person. But anyway, chunk oven. Yeah, just turn these off so I can see what I am working on here and the nature side of things. There we go, much better. Because if I just may talk about this place, it is one of these special places out on the island, and I mean, really, when you see it, it's literally about 100 feet wide by about 80 feet. But in there are so many trails and really just nice places to hang out and such. And really you can't get that with just randomly placed stuff. So this is gonna be one of the last places on the island that's like hand sculpted. Because and also I never really liked how this bay here looked. It should be much more, smooth and such. And by the way, the one viewer, if you want to talk, I like talking to the people who tune in. Uh, Oh, and I could talk about news. I'll talk about news about the Peace Island project. Right before COVID, the epidemic happened, I'm demonetized. So, I mean, well, not I'm not monetized. I'm not demonetized. I'm not monetized, so I could talk about things like that. But back in the day, they wanted to have us come to the the Cat Fanciers Association convention, in the October of the following year, but COVID happened, and we fortunately heard back from them today. Ooh, what's going on here? Oh, I see. Yeah, I gotta get that smaller. And oh, it looks like I might have, yeah, accidentally erased that entire part of the island. Anyway, we're gonna go back to this. But yeah, we heard back from them today, They are back in business, thankfully. I'm gonna just make this one, and I want a nice round thing. And yeah, I told their publicity person that yes, very much this year. If they're like having a get together in October, we would very much like to show off the game there, and that'll be cool. Because this was something that it was sort of like sidetracked by COVID. By the way, I want to turn on the mesh collider on there. Yeah, okay, good. Drag collider. We're good. All right. Because usually, I mean, that's usually a very big part of the game development process is that you go to, gaming conventions and you show your product off, and that's where, companies get to see it and such. And that was stilled for about 2 years. And can I just say, some parts of that being stilled are great. I'm happy to see E3 not happen anymore. E3 was just a sweat pit, you know, and where you basically got a chance to maybe play one of the new games, but it was mostly just about like schmoozing and corporate money and showing off crap. And most of it, I mean, on Jim Sterling again, James Stephanie Sterling has a really great video about like the great classic fails of E3. Because I'm not the only one who's like glad to see it go. But on the other hand, we did really want to show off the game. And if we were going to show off the game at a place, it was going to be like somewhere unorthodox. I would really like to have the first, public demo of the game take place at a Cat Fanciers convention. I would really like the game to be, when we like first release, the final version, to have the big, unveil, probably out on Cliff Island, and like their public, meeting building that has like a max capacity of maybe 150 people. I like just making things difficult for the gaming press. Uh, but let's see here. What I'm doing here is I'm just gonna just sort of trim this terrain. It's poking up a little bit too far, a little bit too drastically. I think smoothing it right now is the most prudent thing to do. And yeah, nope, 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 way too small. And we want to move the smoothing up way big time because really, that's 100%. Woo. Let's make that 20. Anyway, yeah, there is I sort of, if you've never seen a film called Genghis Blues, I recommend it. It's a film by these two guys who, they followed this blues musician to he was a big aficionado, an American blues musician. He wrote Jetterliner. I'm pretty sure most people have never heard that song because it's like even before my generation. But he's blind, and during the time that because he continued to do music and learn about things, learn about language. One day he was listening to Radio Moscow, shortwave radio back in the day was. Back during the days of the Cold War, shortwave radio was so cool. But anyway, this guy, he heard with this throat singing. I mean, we all know about throat singing nowadays, tube and throat singing. But back in the day, I mean, no, I mean that was just very bizarre. But what the guy does is he masters both schools of tuba and throat singing, Sigit and Kume, and can I just tell you that is difficult. It is. I mean, you literally have to practice for months to build up the muscles inside your head to be able to do that sort of thing. Uh, and some people could fake it to a certain extent, but I really hate people who fake it because there are ways of faking it. Like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. I don't watch Big Bang Theory, but he apparently did a little bit of throat singing. But I know the actor who plays Sheldon Cooper. I mean, by his own admission, he's not the smartest and worldly guy in the world. I mean, he's basically, just a frat guy who just happens to be an actor who's gay. I'm not saying that all frat guys are dumb, but I mean, he literally had podcasts. I know nothing about politics. I know nothing about this. just to have people try and explain it to people like him on his level, because he admits he's not the smartest guy in the world. But anyway, where did I get off on that? The Big Bang Theory thing. I got off on a ramble. Sorry about this. What we're going to do right now is we're going to lower this, because this is a little bit too. Is it? Actually, no. I kind of like it poking out like that. Now, what's special about this exercise, I really want to place these rocks by hand and give this place sort of a different look from a distance. Because right now, every place there are lots of places to discover on the island, but there's just very few. We need to add a little bit more zazz to some places. We try to make the game world look as much like Maine as possible. I mean, all the vegetation that we use inside inside their spawner is vegetation you find in Maine. But on the other hand, if you made it look everything just like, we have to add a little bit of fancifulness to it. So that's what I'm here to do tonight. Is I'm going to give this place a little bit more of a dramatic flair. So what we're going to stone T3. Let's see. I know we have. Let's just check this out here. I know we have a lot of the tombstones for people. There we go. But really, these are the small ones. What we want are they the rock? Let's just go. Actually, screw it. I know exactly where to get this. I'm just stoomy here. Yeah, we want to go to Beach Top Heavy. Yeah, we go to Stone 39. That's what we want. We'll go assets, T prefab and Stone 39. So, anybody watching want to say? Want to talk? I mean, anybody got anything to say? Any questions, comments, criticism? Okay? Yeah, we want to get these tri variants here. The try. Yeah, there we go. Anchor rocks, because this is basically going to be our palette here for the dramatic. We need to. Wrong scale. There we are. Let's see. We have 27, 24. Yep. Excitement. I know. So, oh, no, we already got that. We were on our way down. So we actually want to get rid of that 27, 38. So geez, in lieu of anybody bringing any conversations to the forum. Oh, hello. What am I doing? Hi, Nosferatu. Thank you for bringing something into the conversation. For a broad explanation, let me just show you. You see, usually, Nosferatu, have you ever played any 3D open world video games? Usually, I'm just going to assume that you have, because the latency here is low. Okay, cool. Let's just bring up a screenshot of, I want to use other games examples rather than show off Peace Island because they are the standard. So let's look at a forest screenshot Skyrim. And as you notice, I started shoving peanuts in my face. So let's bring this up here. So, yeah, look at this here. Do you think let's open image in new tab. Well, it's low res, but hey, in most cases, in 99% of cases, anything that you run across as far as like rocks and trees and vegetation is not hand placed. It's spawned at runtime. And what we do is we use a system called Vegetation Studio Pro and VSP. Um, it's awesome. And what that does is essentially no video game can keep all trees and rocks and everything in memory at the same time. That's just too much stuff. But when you use a spawn at runtime system that keeps things rendered only within a certain distance of the camera, it can keep that. It's much better at rendering that and keeping all of that in memory because it's only keeping everything in a certain radius around the player. Just let me see here. How come our vegetation? Let me see if I can bring this up and I could just show you for an example of what I'm talking about. I was going to say vegetation, biomes, terrains. Yeah, let's remove all terrains, add all Unity terrains. Here we go. Now see, here, note how, as I move the camera, and you can really see it in the grass. There, hold on, sorry. Oh, it brought us down there. Sorry. Oh, sorry. We're just going to zoom out again. I'm sorry for that interruption, Nosferatu. But you can see here, Nosferatu, as I move the camera, it is spawning trees and vegetation at a certain distance from that camera. And that is so that the the game engine only has to keep that stuff in memory at any given time. Now, the placement of these things is handled by, random seed and an algorithm that's really, really great. It handles the job in 99% of situations, but it can't handle them all. It's having a very hard time replicating Maine's rocky coasts. It just does. Maine's rocky, in Maine, if you're not aware, I'm just going to show you. Nosferatu, I don't know where you're watching from, but I'm just going to go Maine, Rocky Coast, Maine. We don't have many sand beaches here in Maine. Our beaches are mostly very rocky. A friend of mine said the best way that he could sum it up, and let me open this new tab. And I'm glad that I'm having a chance to explain this to you. He said, our beaches are, the only way you could play volleyball, the only people who would enjoy playing volleyball on Maine beaches are Klingons because and that they're all into pain and just getting maimed and stuff. It just has a particular look to them. And while I'm not going to, really in my dream, I think in the end I'm going to have to place a heck of a lot of Maine, a lot of beach rocks by hand. Because even though the system that we have, let me just turn this on again, is very effective at placing inland vegetation, it's not very good at placing just very distinctive things. You see here? Up to a certain point, it does rocks well. But if I asked it to do the rocks after this point, it would just be a random jumble. It's just a random jumble. And I'm constantly trying to figure out better ways of handling it. And one of the places I can better handle it, I think, and this is what I opened up this live cast with, is that I can't expect that that Vegetation Studio to be able to do everything for me. I'm sorry. California, okay. Yeah, I'm born in California, by the way, Nosferatu. Oakland, California. OC, baby. No, that's Orange County, not Oakland, California. Anyway, it's the other OC. I know the beaches of California. I've been out there. Yeah, very sandy, very wide. The sea glass that's out there, you guys get out there, is very much smoother and tumbled and much larger than we get out here because we get sea glass, but the California stuff is very distinct because it's very large and very smooth. Because you guys have just like endless sand. What's that? It's not US Highway 1, is it? Up the coast? I've been up the coast. Yeah, it's just sand, and undertow, and billionaires' houses. But yeah, and anyway, to get back to what I'm doing here, Nosferatu, is that, like I said, I can't count on this random spawning generator engine to be able to properly capture certain parts of the game's world, and also considering the amount of like thought we're putting into some interiors, we need to make some parts of the exterior every bit as distinctive. And here's the thing about Picnic Point. I'll just show you again from the satellite view. Just go here. Is that really? It's when you're out there, you come to it from this dirt road, and you come down this path, and you walk out of this like and you just see it. It's like this island of green trees and such out in the middle of nowhere. And right now it's looking very dull. I mean, I would like players. I mean, this game is, I mean, the number one thing that we were trying to do in making this game is trying to impart, like how neat it is out on the main islands. I mean, if there was some sort of way that we could like get a fan attachment for the game so that your hair would always be rustled in the same way that the wind is like blowing, and really right now it's very generic and just randomly. And what I would like to do is I thought this would be a good place, considering, by the way, another way that we're streaming this is that it's sectors. Most of the island here is on its own sector, and adding a couple of custom things to add some like nice, just look and feel to this outcropping wouldn't really load the game down much. Um, so that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, as you can see, the greenery in most of all that ends at the water's edge. So um, anyway, that's what I'm doing. Yes. Nosferatu. I hate sand. Oh, geez. It's so rough and coarse. I know. I hate sand too. You, me, and Anakin. God. Everybody hates that scene, but I was like watching that on T, and I mean the neighbors were calling the cops. Yeah, preach it, Anakin. I hate sand too. Fuck sand. Anyway, yes. Let's move on to your next comment. But yeah, it's coarse, rough. It gets everywhere. Yeah, but yeah. Again, Anakin. Power to Anakin. I think that's I mean, screw every other moment in the entire franchise. I think if that like whole segment of where he's talking about sand was just on a loop, it should be like broadcast on the moon's surface so that all of humanity and any alien species, the first thing that they see is like that. I mean, it captures everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to add a little bit of that rocky coast feel to this. And I would really like it so that when people, a lot of the vegetation isn't out there, but when the players walking their kitty through the foliage here, they come out and they're like, ah, a place that looks inviting rather than just some sort of interesting, inviting and interesting. Because right now the randomness really doesn't pay this place homage. Because I mean, well, this is where one of the NPC species, the first, thing. But to answer your question too, oh man, I'm losing. Do it, Nosferatu? Are you trolling me? You're trolling me. I'm gonna get to work. Anyway, yes, you play as a cat. I'm gonna answer all your questions. Some people, when I was streaming before, some people were going, "This guy is obviously trolling you." Oh well, hey. I don't mind answering simple questions. So, I just got here. Yeah, okay, cool. I don't mean to be. I do. I don't. I don't mean to be. So, yeah, where are you from? California. California is a big freaking place. Maine is not so much. Well, we are a big state. We're sort of like the Texas of New England. We're big. And what we are, geez, we're sort of like more like the California of New England, and that really when we have a couple of no, I don't know, we're unlike any other state. I'm just gonna say that really. So what should we make it look like? Let's just go with, I mean, rather than just placing stuff, let's go with a concept in mind. So when the person first comes out, I mean, they're going to be the trees there. Yeah, some like just inviting platforms out on each side, sort of like a space station. Okay. Well. Hey, let's talk more about how much we hate sand, Nosferatu. I mean, how do you stand living? I mean, I guess you're not in one of the coastal parts of California. I mean, really, I don't remember because here's the. We moved out of California, my family, when I was like 10, about 5. Yeah, we moved out of California, and I moved back there in, oh God, 1992. God, no, 1989. 1989. I was like on the run from this crazy, like Crowley-esque weirdo, who, anyway, a long story, you know, stupid decisions made in youth. Um, let's see. Oh, yeah, 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 that's the California's so freaking huge. It's as wide as Tennessee is. And, Alameda County and those places, no beach at all. I mean, really. A lot of people do have that, like, idea of California. I used to, I lived in the Bay Area the two times I lived there. I was born in Oakland, like I said. But it's supposed to be a place right there. But Oakland, and I went down to Los Angeles a couple of times, and yeah, the middle of the state, really, you go through certain parts of it that are just like desert for like hours and hours and hours. And that was before, like, the whole, like, the recurring droughts and floods that have been going on there lately. Yeah, you can be so dry you can feel. Yeah, and also, yeah, I mean, Slab City is in California, isn't it? And that's about as dry as you can get, about 120 degrees in the shade out there. And boy, that's the next place it's going to be like totally gentrified, I think, unfortunately. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to make this place a little bit more, photogenic. And what I want to do also is, yeah, see it from that perspective. I want to draw out this beach a bit here. But first, let's just do it the old-fashioned way, baby. Um, yeah, I moved out to California and geez, from Tennessee. I mean, anything. Well, no, I'm not going to say anything bad about Tennessee. Not going to say anything bad about it. It's great for the folks who love it. I've lived all over this country. I mean, really, except no, that's total lie. I've never lived, in what we call like flyover country, Midwest. The big open plains area. I lived in Tennessee, Alabama, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, California. Jeez, I'm probably missing one or two. Washington. Um, yeah, and I don't know. Out of all places I've lived, I have to say Maine I like the best. I've lived, but yes, to answer one of your earlier questions, Nosferatu, yes, I'm replicating a part of Maine right now. And yeah, Peace Island is based on the islands of Casco Bay, which is, if you are not aware, and let's just go back over to this, it is a body of water. I live here in Portland, and this is Portland. We are the oldest city in the state of Maine. We only have about 65,000 people, but we are only 16 years younger than New York City. We are literally, I mean, 300 plus years old, I think. We are a very, very old city, but we're very small. And but we are the largest city. And what we have, yeah, 65,000 people, largest city in the state. To somebody in California, that probably sounds insane, right? 65,000 is like a neighborhood in Compton, right? Yeah. Anyway, but Casco Bay is this area out here, and they call it the Calendar Islands because there are, as hundreds of islands out here, and The game is based on, on, I live here and I love like visiting the islands out here because they're their own communities and they got their own histories and their own places and they're very interesting places to visit. And we have ferries that go out, the commuter ferries that go out there every hour or so, so they're very easy to visit. And so yeah, um, yeah. Let me tell you, I like to stay inside as well. I'm not, I didn't. I'm asocial, by the way. If that's like a whole coming out thing. I think most cat people are asocial, and I'm making a game about cats, so yeah. Um, I'm the same way. I mean, for years when I was living down in New Jersey, before I moved up here, I unfortunately lived in New Jersey, and I liked it when I was living there only because, can I say, I mean, some people love it there, but and it does have its own mystique and its own flair, I guess. But when I was living out there, I was always like, I gotta find my social clique, man. I'm just sitting at home all day. I'm never going out or anything. But sometimes there just ain't nothing to go out to, and there's nothing wrong with not going out and everything. I am totally team asocial, not wanting to go out, not dealing with people. Um, my favorite kind of relationship, aside of I have a partner here that I've been with for I think 13 years now. Yeah, 13 years, coming up on 13 years. But really, my ideal kind of like social interaction is being on the ferry to an island somewhere and having a 5 minute conversation with somebody and then never seeing them again. That's it. That is the extent of my, eh, I thought to a great extent something was wrong with me, but when I met my partner Laura, I mean, she basically just, I'm sorry, raise set height, yeah. No, actually, we weren't going to raise her lower, just keep it at one. She taught me, I mean, really, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being asocial. I mean, there's nothing wrong with not needing to go out and not needing to, have tons of friends or anything like that. I mean, I kind of pity the people who feel, oh my goodness, the only way that I feel good is I have to go out to a bar and I have to be in like loud music everywhere, screaming and yelling, and just drunks everywhere. Everybody's trying to, either get laid or get drunk or possibly both. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. I mean, no, no, I'm totally asocial, and that's totally cool. It took me a while to realize that. I thought there was something wrong with me, but again, thanks to Laura, I learned that that's totally cool. And yeah, um, let's see. Yeah, what we want out now here, now that I got an idea in mind, is we want some nice sort of like wings cropping outcrops on the side. So when the cat goes out there, it's like this cool looking thing. So yeah, I lived in California for 1992. No, in 1989 until 1992. After which I moved to Seattle, and man, that was like, well, in a certain way, it was like being, it was the slacker version of Haight Ashbury back then. And here's the problem with the slacker version of Haight Ashbury. And no one was getting laid. Everybody was incredibly depressed and broke all the time. I mean, that was that renaissance that I had front row seat to. But yeah, I mean, I was there when Kurt Cobain, and yeah, et cetera, et cetera. And but eh, I think we're gonna have to get a lot more inventive here. So yeah, at a certain point in my life, like I said, the reason I moved out to California, I mean, after of course, my many years there as well, no, I think 4 years as a young child, was because at a certain time, I don't know, we all fall into a bad group of folks, and at that time, I just knew a guy that was, I just never suspected how crazy he was. At a certain time, goodness gracious, I moved into a house with him and a few other folks, and it was like, I mean, you're from California, right? You know what Spawn Ranch is? Spawn Ranch is Nosferatu, right? You know what Spawn Ranch is, right? Helter Skelter. I mean, literally, it was going to go toward that, and I had to, GTFO for I thought for my own safety. So that's how I left. And from what I understand, the guy that was oh goodness, that's just a whole. It's a story, man. It's a crazy story. Unfortunately, the guy's no longer in jail. Is all I can say. Because let's just put it this way: the guy I knew at that time, and unfortunately, we just. I'm not going to go any further. Anybody who wants to know any more about the story, email at me at bloomberg1970 at gmail.com. And I'll go into more detail about it. It's just one of those crazy American adventures, shall we say. But in the end, I'm just glad that the guy is in jail. Well, no, he's not in jail, but he's now in one of those communities where, let's just say, there are no schools or where or places where there are sources of shall we say young people. We'll just say that that's how that whole saga ended in that guy's life. He's gonna die there. Ha. Hmm? No, I'm very sorry. No, sorry. I don't mean to be. I mean, by the way, I pardon my language or something. I don't mean to be, whatever. But yeah, I mean, Nosferatu, he's one of those people. He was a Chris Hansen, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Back in the day, again, from what I understand, he was caught on a bridge going into Canada, and he was carrying so much CP that they had to hold him until they could write new laws to cover the amount that he was carrying. Yeah. I wish him nothing but death, and here's the thing: never touched me. He definitely wanted to, but as crazy it is to go back into your life and think about that. That at a certain point you were in a position where that could happen, and thankfully that didn't. But hey, yeah. Anyway, that's why I wound up California, and I spent a couple years out there. I went out to. That was my years as like a science fiction author, no author, no, illustrator, cartoonist. I went out there, and the only reason I went out there with only just like cartoonists. Back in the day, before the internet, and this was before the internet, back when the internet was like in its earliest stages, you might be able to there were like fanzines and stuff that people put out, and they were mostly distributed through the mail. And I happen to have done a lot of like artwork for fanzines out there. And I knew some people out there, and they said, "Yeah, just come on out." And that's how I wound up out there the second time. And crazy adventures, man. But yeah, that guy, thankfully, yeah. Mm. Anyway, I think about that guy is I don't spare a thought for him because he doesn't deserve it. He's a piece of garbage. And I mean, I do not know whether he, jeez, I'm losing viewers. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, I don't know whether he ever was guilty of anything, in that thing. But I know he was caught as part of that. And the reason, again, can I just say, the reason I knew this guy, and I need to exonerate myself because of the connection, is because I was in college, and I should come out to a certain extent. I mean, to a certain extent, I'm. When you compare me to 90% of men on Earth, I'm asexual to a great extent, and I knew this guy for a couple of years. And honest to goodness, in my mind, I never thought for a single minute that this guy was like had any creepy intentions or anything. I thought the guy just was like an aficionado of music and art like I was, and we were just, friends or whatever. But here, at a certain point, he discovered that I was not into that. I don't go that way, and also I didn't think that's what the kind of relationship was. And within a month, he was hooked up with another young guy, the exact same age, mirror copy of myself. Weird story. Again, just absolute weird story. But I mean, again, the one thing that saved me from this guy's weirdness was I was again totally asexually clueless. I thought we were just guys that were just like hanging out all the time talking about art and music. And wow. So hey, just so you know, that's one of the reasons why I really, can I just say, I'm one of those people who watched, Chris Hansen, have a seat right over there with a bit of joy. Because every time I saw one of those guys getting busted, I saw that guy in my mind. I was like, yes, justice. And so, yeah. But, again, hey, it just goes to show, can I just say, it's not crazy to say that you're like the victim of something like that. Just saying. I don't know if you're familiar with a guy by the name of Terry Crews. He played President Camacho in Idiocracy, a great movie by Mike Judge. Um, Apparently, I mean, that guy Terry Crews, NFL star, giant of a man, built like a Kazakh shithouse, just muscular. Just, I mean, but apparently somebody at a Hollywood party came up to him and just grabbed him right there. And I mean, you wouldn't think that no one would ever do that to somebody like that. It just goes there. I mean, unfortunately, there's sickos and predators everywhere. And goodness gracious, to think about Peace Island. I'm sorry. But I mean, I'm just saying, maybe to those people out there who've been a victim of something like this before, there's no shame in it. It happens, and it has nothing to do about, it's nothing on you, it's on them. I mean, like I said, I have no guilt about anything about that time. I was like, this guy, whatever. When he started going over to the other guy, I was like, oh, he's gay. Okay, whatever. We'll all hang out and do music, talk about music and art. But then I was like, oh no, he's hanging out with that guy and talking about music and art and all the time. But they're going to their bedroom and I hear weird noises. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Man, life. Life is crazy, right, man? Oh boy. Again, yeah, like man. Anyway, goodness. We need to get off these weird subjects because we're 42 minutes into this. But what was there, Nosferatu? Is there anything you want to know about the game? I mean, anything about the setting? Such. I can. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to save. If you've never actually, I could have sworn we had somebody who tuned in the other day by the name of Nosferatu, but maybe I'm mistaken. Who it was? But anyway, if you're unfamiliar with the game, I'm going to do just a quick run around and like in a test run of the exterior. It's not going to have the entire exterior loaded, and it's going to run kind of chunky because it's inside of the editor. But hello. Project Oliver, you tuned in at a strange time. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that was a show. I think I'm cool with this scene because this is my veg studio. I can come back to this in a moment. And actually, I'm already starting to like. I mean, here's a sculpting 3D stuff inside of Unity is sort of like painting. It's like Bob Ross. You gotta place the large chunks first and then go in afterwards. And also I want to place the trees next. I gotta place the Veg Studio mask for that, and that involves going into I could just show you these systems. Let's see. Oh yeah, all these things over here. These are the masks that determine where all the vegetation lands, and I could show you. I'm just gonna zoom out with this. All these. Let's go. Thousands of yellow lines here. These are all the masks that dictate where vegetation is spontaneously, spawned. So anyway, we're going to go into the main scene, and I'm just going to show you Nosferatu because you sound like you have not seen it before. But what we could do is, and it isn't going to show you much because it's just basically the test version. Because right now Laura's placing the climbable ivy on the exterior game world. So, but I just want to show you it does look pretty and it exists. Okay. But yeah. Oh, that's a big. Oh, 29. Yeah, 2020. Let me. I can tell you the whole story of Nosferatu. It's been a long, long story about the development of this game. But am I making this by myself? I usually I started working on this with my partner Laura in 2017. We were, I mean, and we were both working like minimum wage jobs at the time, and we didn't have a budget or anything. And I mean, I was working 11-hour shifts. I was a line cook, flipping burgers basically. And whenever I saved up maybe a few bucks, there was a coder out in Greece, the country that I would work with, and he that was it for the first like first 2 years, and we got a little bit of Kickstarter money that allowed us to turn our like really rough idea into something that actually worked. And we got then some money on Patreon. We went a little bit viral, and we got some good support on there that allowed us to really flesh things out. But here's the thing. My biggest regret is that at a certain point, some people who had worked, for AAA companies, they had big resumes with like big company. They worked on Guitar Hero, they worked on the Thief series, they worked on Arkham, they worked on all these, and but these guys were and that was the biggest mistake I ever made, because these guys were absolute idiots. I trusted them to try and get some stuff done, but these guys were just. I mean, I checked out the resumes before I hired them, but honest to goodness, these guys were the absolute. And the thing, if I had never hired those people and it just remained myself and Laura for those years, for the last 3 years, we would be far better off. We would have been far better off. I mean, every suggestion that these people made, every choice that these people made was wrong, demonstrably wrong, and I just can't. I mean, there was this one guy we brought on, and he was constantly billing for server maintenance. And after I fired him, I started maintaining the server, and I realized, oh, there is no such thing as server maintenance. You just make sure that it's turned on. And another guy who just literally, oh God, these people. And this one guy who I brought on to do a character controller, I was assured, oh, this guy, he's worked for Steam, he's worked, he's worked whatever it is, Valve, he's worked for all these companies, everything. Utter incompetent lunatic loser. By the name of Brett Dunham. That's the one person I'm gonna name and shame forever until the day and time. Him and Mike Shiranovsky. I made the mistake of bringing them onto the team, and these guys, they number one couldn't code their way out of a wet paper bag. I mean, I had never made a character controller before in my life. I made a character controller in 2018. Oh goodness, hold on. Hold on for one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Hello? Oh, yes. Hello. Could I call you? Do you have a moment? I don't know what time zone you're in, but I just happen to be in the middle of a little bit of work here, but I could be with you in just a moment. Oh, okay. Give me about 5 minutes. I'll be right back with you. Thanks so much. Take care. Okay, guys. You know what? I'm just going to show you. Yeah. This is based on a Maine island, and an island off the coast of Maine. And what this is it's an open world adventure game that takes place after the cats wake up one morning and discover that all humans have disappeared. Like I said, it runs very chunky inside the editor. And also, right now, I have a lot of the atmospherics, disabled because I want fast performance rather than, beauty. What you do is it's up to the cats to determine whether, figure out why the humans have disappeared. And ultimately, it's up to them to determine whether the humans are worth bringing back. And the player takes on the role of nine different cats. Let's go and see here. Nine different cats. And each of the cats is like a tool in your toolbox. And I have to take care of this call because this is very important. This is a woman, the publicity person from the Cat Fanciers Association, and she is going to hopefully aid us in getting to being able to demo the game at their big convention this October. And I've been here with you guys for about 15 minutes. Wish I could stay longer, but I'll see you later. See you in about a couple of days. Take care. Sorry.